There's Voyager crossing over into interstellar space.
Voyager accomplished its mission so brilliantly, and now goes on.
There's a moment in every journey, whether across oceans, mountains, or time itself, when the traveler suddenly realizes they've crossed a threshold, a point of no return. For Voyager 1, that moment came in silence, far from the warmth of the sun, in a realm where the stars don't just shine, they whisper secrets never meant for our ears. Launched in 1977, Voyager 1 was never meant to last this long. It was supposed to be a fleeting handshake with Jupiter, a polite nod to Saturn. And yet here it is, 46 years later, still traveling, still listening, still reporting back from a place so distant it defies imagination. And now, after decades of drifting through the cold abyss, it has brought us something we were never prepared to understand. Neil deGrasse Tyson, with his voice full of gravity and wonder, recently stood before the world and shared what Voyager 1 had discovered, what it had seen. 300 massive objects, not scattered randomly like debris in a storm, but gathered, present, intentional. In a region of space we believe to be nearly empty, Voyager found a crowd. At first it was just data, cold readings, spikes on a graph. But then a pattern emerged. Gravitational shifts, electromagnetic pulses, strange movements in the dark. These weren't the signatures of rocks tumbling blindly through space. These were something else, something with weight, something with behavior, something that made scientists lean in, take off their glasses and whisper, "What is that?" They're not planets. They're not asteroids. They don't glow like stars or drift like comets. Some hover, some move in sharp angles, then vanish as if pulled by an unseen hand. Their presence defies every rule we've written about the universe. Rules that have guided sailors by the stars, built telescopes to reach back in time, and landed rovers on other worlds. Voyager 1 has broken those rules wide open, and maybe that's why this revelation feels less like science and more like myth. Like Voyager has wandered into a forest no one has ever mapped and found standing stones that weren't carved by nature. Some of the signals emitted from these objects pulse with strange, regular beats. Not random noise, not background radiation, but something more refined, something controlled. One transmission modulates its frequency, almost like it's tuning itself or listening back. Can you imagine that? A spacecraft older than most people alive, floating billions of miles from Earth, possibly catching the attention of something else? Something watching from the dark, waiting, or maybe something ancient and indifferent, humming quietly in the depths. Tyson didn't say it directly. He didn't have to. The words were wrapped in restraint, but the message was there. This might not be natural. These objects, these giants, may not have formed by accident. They might have been built. Even saying it aloud feels like crossing a line we can't uncross. If they are machines, then who made them? If they are alive, then what do they know of us? Voyager carries a golden record, a message in a bottle filled with music, laughter, and maps of who we are. Maybe that message has finally reached someone, or something. But maybe these aren't visitors. Maybe they're markers, silent boundaries warning us, or welcoming us, or guiding us towards something greater. A spiral formation, radial alignment, the architecture of purpose. Voyager hasn't just found objects in space. It's touched the edge of mystery itself, a frontier not of distance, but of understanding. And on the far side of that veil, something is waiting. Voyager was never supposed to be a messenger for this kind of story. It was a symbol of hope, of curiosity, a fragile construct of wires, panels, and dreams, flung into the cosmos like a child skipping a stone across the sea. And yet, here it is, all these years later, peering into a shadow we didn't know existed, and finding it looking back. There's something profoundly unsettling about the silence of deep space. No sound, no wind, no warmth, just the slow turning of stars, the cold geometry of gravity. And now, this. These 300 objects, each vast in scale, linger out there like sentinels. They don't drift aimlessly. Some don't even move at all. They hover, still as thought, quiet as memory. And then, just as suddenly, they move, darting off at speeds that shouldn't be possible, against vectors that don't make sense. Tyson called it angular motion, but that doesn't do justice to what the data shows. These things don't follow the rules. They seem to rewrite them, or worse, ignore them entirely. Scientists checked and rechecked the instruments. Was the data corrupted? Were the sensors malfunctioning? But every reading matched. Voyager's systems, aging but intact, were doing exactly what they were built to do. The truth was simple. The impossible was happening, and the spacecraft was telling the truth. Then came the electromagnetic fluctuations, strange patterned pulses, not the chaotic randomness of a dying star, not the familiar hum of background radiation. This was different, sharper, more deliberate. Some of the pulses repeated at perfect intervals like clockwork. Others shifted, adapted, like they were responding. That's when the questions began to cut deeper. Not just what are these things, but why are they here? Why now? Why this part of space where we expected nothing but emptiness? Some of the data suggests they're aligned, structured in a spiral with geometric spacing too precise to be coincidence. The arrangement looks deliberate, as if the entire cluster is part of a vast pattern. Maybe it's natural. Maybe it's some strange gravitational resonance we haven't seen before. But maybe it's a boundary, a gate, a fence marking something even more astonishing just beyond it. And then there's the silence. Not the silence of space, but the thermal silence. These objects don't glow. They don't radiate. Nothing. No heat. No signature. Not even a whisper in infrared. That shouldn't be possible. Anything with mass and structure, exposed to the vacuum of space for billions of years, should radiate heat. Yet these entities are as cold as the void itself, or perhaps even colder. So what does that mean? Are they using some form of cloaking? Are they absorbing energy in ways that defy the known laws of thermodynamics? Or are they built from matter we've never touched, never imagined? Tyson didn't lean into wild theories. He simply laid out the facts, facts that feel more like fiction. But fiction has always been humanity's way of whispering to the future, hasn't it? We dream things before we build them. We imagine truths before we can prove them. And now here we are, on the edge of proof. Theoretical physicists are already sketching out models, scenarios, even bold possibilities. Could these be dormant machines built eons ago by civilizations that rose and fell before Earth was even born? Could they be relics, forgotten pieces of an ancient galactic architecture? Or are they something stranger, organic machines, hybrid entities, minds embedded in matter? One theory, as fragile as it is mesmerizing, suggests these objects could be probes, like Voyager itself, but far older, far more advanced. Not meant to communicate, just to observe, to wait. Perhaps they've been watching us for longer than we realize. If that's true, then Voyager's arrival wasn't a discovery. It was a meeting. Somewhere out there, beyond the noise of our own world, beyond the storms of gas giants in the icy silence of the Kuiper Belt, Voyager 1 drifts on, alone but not forgotten, carrying within it the voice of humanity, still echoing after nearly half a century. And now, for the first time in all its wandering, it may have found someone or something to hear it. The thought lingers like a heartbeat in the dark. What if these massive objects are not relics of a forgotten age, but sentinels of a greater one? What if they were meant to be found only when we were ready? The patterns Voyager recorded, the subtle changes in signal modulation, the almost imperceptible shifts in timing, weren't just static. They felt alive, or at least aware. Neil deGrasse Tyson, with his signature calm and wonder, posed the question we all wanted to avoid asking aloud. What if they're responding to us? That question has turned entire institutions on their heads. Labs that once focused on exoplanet atmospheres are now analyzing electromagnetic data with the urgency of decoding a message. Observatories that peered outward in search of distant suns have turned their gaze back, retracing Voyager's path to watch that stretch of space with fresh, desperate eyes. Because if these objects are reacting to the presence of a human-made probe, then we've crossed more than just a physical boundary. We've crossed into a conversation, and we don't yet know the language. Are we being studied, warned, welcomed? Maybe it's none of those things. Maybe we're still just ants walking across the foot of a sleeping giant, unaware of the scale of what we've stumbled into. But the idea that the signals Voyager picked up are non-random, evolving, and perhaps even intelligently modulated, that changes everything. It's no longer just about what's out there. It's about what it means to be here. If these structures are artificial, then we are not the first to leave footprints in the stars. If they are natural, then the cosmos is far more imaginative than we ever gave it credit for. Either way, our understanding of the universe has shattered. Theories bloom like wildfire. Some whisper about a galactic network, beacons placed across the interstellar dark, maintaining contact between civilizations long vanished. Others imagine ancient machines still running long after their creators faded into myth. And then there are the more cautious voices, those who warn of coincidence, unknown physical laws, or phenomena we simply haven't named yet. But even the most grounded scientists can't shake the feeling that something extraordinary has begun. Voyager 1, with its creaking circuitry and dying battery, may be the messenger of a new era, a silent diplomat from a world overflowing with music, stories, fears, and hope. A machine that outlived its mission, only to discover a new one in the end. And what happens now? We listen. We wait. We build new eyes, new ears, new ships. And we send them not just to explore, but to understand. To follow that trail of clues left hanging in the void like constellations only visible from a certain point in history. Our point, because no matter what these objects are, whether lifeless monoliths or sentient way stations, they've changed us. They've reminded us that the universe isn't just a backdrop to our lives. It's a character in our story. And maybe, just maybe, it's ready to speak. Voyager was always more than a machine. It was our heartbeat, pulsing outward into infinity. And now, in the vast silence where stars are born and secrets sleep, something may have answered. And if that's true, if the cosmos has whispered back, then humanity is no longer alone. Not in wonder, not in fear, not in the dark.